Shall we get started then? Mathana, are you
Yes,
here?
please.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, we're up to 30, so I think it's fine to get started. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's lovely to see so many friendly faces. We're thrilled you could make it, and some people we haven't seen for a while, so it's really, really lovely to see you. A couple of housekeeping items very quickly. We're aiming to end this session at 1 p.m. Central. We'd like you to mute yourselves, at least whilst Mathana is talking, just to make it as comfortable as possible for everyone. Mathana is going to present, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers. Some of you have already submitted questions, so we'll start with those. But if you have any others, or if you want to add to those, please feel free to put them in the chat box. And then my colleague, the wonderful Carly, will feed them to me, and I'll ask them to Mathana. And with that, let's get started. So this is a really exciting time for Mathana and for Questscope. And it's something that's been in the works for about 23 years now. So to start us off, Kurt is going to introduce Mathana, as is appropriate, I think. Kurt's known Mathana for longer than any of us, I think, and he's worked really closely with him side by side over the last 23 years. So he's seen up close how Mathana has transformed into the leader he is today. And with that, over to you, Kurt.
Thanks, Joe. And I'm really quite overwhelmed at some of the faces that I'm seeing that I haven't seen for so long, and I've desired to see so much. So thank you all for joining us. In 1988, my personal promise to a young woman who had died in the massacre of Palestinians, civilians in Beirut in 1982, that personal promise became a nonprofit, non-government organization called Questscope. The promise was to put the last first as much as I was able, and I was alone at that time. The biggest change between then and now is that I am not alone. There are scores, I could even say hundreds, of friends, volunteers, supporters, people who pray, advisors, partners, staff, who carry this vision of putting the last first in their hearts and in their heads. In 1999, Questscope took on a computer science undergrad from the top technical college in Jordan, who hadn't quite finished his BA. He volunteered to fact check, to verify all the information that we were talking about our youth and our programs. And 23 years later, that young man, Muthanna Khreisat, is the new CEO of Questscope, my successor after 40 years of my being the founder director. I would remark here that Manal, his wife, is also on the call today. She's known him actually longer than I have, but just barely longer. And she will remember the Muthanna of those days with his gelled hair and his slim body. As he would walk down the halls of the Princess Sumaya College, young girls would swoon as he passed by. So Manal was the lucky one who got him. La tu'akhizni ya Manal. Muthanna is a skillful person. He has experience directly with youth, marginalized youth, difficult youth, with families, with their communities, with national partners, with government ministries, and with donors and supporters on 3 continents. He was recently recognized by Yale University as one of their World Fellows. As they say, once a Yaley, always a Yaley. But the essence that Muthanna spreads is the essence of you. Everything is all about you for Muthanna, not about him. He puts the interests of others above his own interests. The word for this for me is humility. He's a skillful leader, but also skilled in humility. Muthanna will build on our solid base of experience with marginalized youth, our experience of putting the last first, and he will continue to uncover insight and lessons that will take us to our next big. It's a massive privilege for me to introduce Muthanna to you as the CEO for Questscope 2.0. Muthanna.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you for your words and for this introduction. Thank you, Joe. Welcome and hello. It's great to see everyone. It's about a month, more than a month. Actually, it's 40 days since Kurt HEDx became mine, and you can imagine. So I'm so excited to share with you an introduction to our vision for Questscope 2.0. First, let's start with Questscope 1.0. We have done a lot of amazing work during the last 30 years. We worked with communities and youth on the roots of the problems and tried to find solutions with them and test them if they are working. But to do so, we chose to keep ourselves invisible. We tried things and they worked. And now we put systems in place that are ready to build upon. The next phase of Questscope will be built from the last phase. First, I want to talk with you about, as Kurt said, about my personal journey. These are some examples about during the last 23 years, these things that moved me personally, and they have a transformation inside myself. Actually, these are the things that make me wake up in the morning, want to do more and work to have a hard work to go through all the challenges. The first two, we are talking about chance, second chance. I was a youth. While I'm growing, I did some mistakes, but I had a support system around me, and I have a family that they protected me. But I'm talking about youth and refugees, they have no support system. And because of the policies and the system, they will lose their chance because of things they did or things it happened to them without they choose, like to be a refugee or be a marginalized youth. With our non-formal education, we created a second path for youth to be re-engaged with education. And that can lead for a certificate that can open the doors for their lives. The same thing with the juvenile justice. Before the system in Jordan and the law in Jordan was, if any youth did any minor offense, they will be in detention centers for extending time. And we can imagine what kind of trauma, what kind of abuse they can go through. And they start with something small that can end up with something big, and their life is over. So we were able to introduce our adult mentoring relationship to have a combiner with them and try to help them to go through that journey, and their presence in the centers help to reduce the amount of abuse and trauma. But luckily, we reached a point that we changed the system to have a new system, a new juvenile law in Jordan, that there is alternative diversion and any minor offense will not lead to detention center. And here we have to see that how we made the change for marginalized youth, which changed the people and the system around them. This is very important. From kids that they are out of school and they lost their chance, kids they did a detention center and they lost their chance, they re-engaged again. The third one is very personal for me. This is the Zaatari Youth Center. We know that become a refugee, you lost your decision making. Someone will decide for you for the entire of your life until you will be resettled. This is something, especially if you are a youth, end up in a refugee camp, this will be the end. And we created a space, a safe space, and we provide the refugees with the tools so they can lead and they can feel the ownership. And I want to tell about my last trip to Zaatari when I met two of our sector leads. These young men and young women, they talked with me and they've been with us for 9 years. They started with us as mentees. And now one of them is leading our storytelling program and one of them is leading our music therapy program. They told me we can't imagine how our life would be if we did not go through the work with Quasco. And the third lady that when I worked with her, that when I couldn't hold my tears, and it's the note that we can see in this slide, that she said the only positive thing that has come out of being a refugee is the opportunity to work with Quasco. These things, it's driving the motivation and driving the passion to do more and to help these people, because we believe they are equivalent to us and maybe they are better than us, but we have different chances. The fourth one is healing the healers. We all know that the health system worldwide is not effective enough, even in the top countries, and we all face that all the time. And you can imagine yourself as a refugee or a youth in a development country, what kind of support system is there? The great thing about this, that we provide them with tools and education to go through the healing process. And it's go from person to person to heal themselves and heal their community and the people around them. And this is for us, it's across all the programs, because this is the entry point for everything that if you want to go through any intervention. For me personally, everyone faced a trauma need to be healed from it. And this is a key thing for us moving forward. Now I will talk about Quasco 2.0. What we intention to do is we want to reach more vulnerable communities in Jordan and beyond. We did things that it's worked. We proved our model. For me personally, when I was at Skers mentioned, I was at my time at Yale, I got a period of time to be away from the day-to-day work of Quasco and see Quasco in the eyes of other professional and education leaders. We have to be confident that we can be bigger and we can do better. And what we are doing has to extend and reach more. We believe we have a unique staff. You have a unique people that we are serving. We have unique leaders. We have unique supporters and donors. And we have a unique programs and methodologies that it's worked, and it's proved that it's worked. And I think this is the time to expand it and scale it. And we can sell it. This is the time to see ourselves multiplying 10 times or 100 times. On the other hand, this change has to happen not only because of the transition in Quasco. We can see the whole world is changing around us. We know the pandemic and the effect of the pandemic. We know the economic situation that's going around us. We know the new conflict in Europe and how this will affect a lot of things, and it's already affecting a lot of this. And the most important thing, that now we are a bigger organization if we compare it with Quasco 1.0. So this is the time to expand and go big. And also we have to keep in mind that education and youth want to be engaged more with technology. It's no longer can be in the old model. And this how we have to move forward with Quasco. During our work, we try to focus, and this is something that we work with the whole team, to come up with 3 pillars. These pillars that can describe everything we are doing. And we have a lot of changes and a lot of activities and initiatives that can fall under all of these. This is not changing what we are doing, but it's more categorizing. And we position ourselves because we have to recognize the power of potential for every individual. And we know that to reach those individuals to meet their potential, they have to heal first. And they need tools to do that, and they need a kind to be engaged with economy. And In the next slides, I will give you some examples. This is not all the examples, but some examples about what we are doing, what we tested, what we're working with us. And now we think about scale it up and expand it moving forward. Here we will talk about some of the economic inclusion. And these are, as I said, some ideas. Photography school is, we start the pilot in Zaatari. The great thing about it as a livelihood skill, it's not only the creative expression. It's about how we can develop the capacities for anyone have a talent, that we can move his talent to become a profession. And how we can equip them with cameras and give them the training. And then they can use it everywhere. If they decide to stay in Jordan, if they move back to Syria, if they will go anywhere. This will be to be a professional photography. This is something that you can use anywhere. This is a profession, and this is, as I said, as an example. On the second part, this will be a good introduction for technology. We can connect them with the digital world because we will teach them and train them, develop their capacity, how they can use softwares to edit their photos, and also to help them to sell their photos on an online marketplaces. So these kind of initiatives that it can unlock, and the magic behind it, that it came from them. They believe that this is one of the solutions they want. The second one is the productive kitchen. Productive kitchen is a transitioning by itself. It's started with our work to prevent early marriage for girls and young women in Aqaba because of the economic struggled families. It's started with, we try to reduce the pressure from the family by providing them with food vouchers. And then while we are moving, we saw the talent that they have, and we saw that they have a lot of, the mothers, they are a very great cooks. So with that, when we start thinking how we can create a project for them, that it's to provide livelihood pathway for women to start their own business. And then they have a sustainable income, and they will be the decision makers for their life. This is something that it's a change from being dependent to be independent and to contribute, because also we look at these women that they will contribute back to their community to help them in supporting other women and start another projects. And as I said, this is one of the examples. We have a lot of ideas that we want to expand and we want to go through. Unlocking learning. So we had a great, and we all know about our great experience with non-formal education. And we reached with non-formal education at a stage that now it's with the hands of the government, which is a very success that it's now scaling nationally. And this is a dream for any NGO that we reach that point. But we think about unlocking learning and how we can build the ability for building relationship, because we believe the successful learning environment is relationship, and how we can connect relationship or blend relationship with technology. I remember when the COVID, the schools closed during COVID, less than 3 days, our students, they contacted each other, contacted their facilitators, and 87% of our centers were working and they are up running. This is because we build their social emotional maturity. And also because we create an environment they want to learn. We don't teach them, but we help them to know how to learn. So this is something now when we connected with a platform that it's only available for the elite, especially when we talk of United States, it's available, but for developing countries, it's only limited to the elite. When we create an online learning platform that it's accepted anyone, it will increase our capacity to reach more students and to reach beyond our borders and go outside of Jordan. These are very important, and these part of the expansion and the secret sauce of it, how we can integrate the social, emotional, and the relational building within that platform. So this is the tricky one, because we know that there is a report from World Health Organization. They said more than 70 million people are in need for mental health. And with the current existing system, with all the therapists we have, I'm not sure how we can serve them and how we can enable that, especially when we talk about special circumstances or special locations. And that's how we have to break through therapies. And music therapy is one of the examples. Music has a power in all of us. If I'm sitting now talking with you and I hear the song from that reminding me with 90s, that it will give me a flashback, then I will remember, as Kurt mentioned, when I have the gel hair and I have different, with less gray hair. And this is something that can trigger any one of us. And this is a coping mechanism that can help us to be integrated to something. And we are applying this program with one of the unique music therapists in the region. And he helping developing other music therapists. And now we have the pilot in Zaatari. It's great, but now we are working about how we expand it outside of Zaatari and outside of Jordan. And again, we have to remember that we want a place that we will be emotionally accepted, loved, acknowledged, to remind all of us that we all human. The second program is the Field Guide for Barefoot Psychology. It's providing normal person to understand the science behind trauma through storytelling, to help us heal our pain and heal others' pain. And we know the power of a story. When you hear a story, each one of us can take the story to different places. So if we develop the capacities to help people unlock trauma, and then we can help people. And we believe that this can be a post-conflict contest across the globe. And this is something that we work with our partner, Beyond Conflict, that they see this as a tool for post-conflict across the globe. It's bigger and it can be applied. And now we are blended with apps to see how we can expand it and we can take it to other places and other phases. Zaatari. This is, as I said, this is my comfort zone. This is where I see the big potential. When we talk about Zaatari, we talk about camp, refugee camp, with more than 80,000 persons live in that camp in a certain circumstances. It's bigger than a bigger city that we know. It's bigger than Minneapolis. Now we worked with Syrians, and as I said before, we developed the capacities for a new generation that they raised, and we developed their capacity within Zaatari. And we invested in these youth. When we talked about a mentee, spent with us 9 years, then they became a lead of a program. When you talk with them, you can't imagine what kind of future they are thinking of. And now we have, and they will work, all their work will be under the same 3 pillars, because they are duplicating what we are working in a new and a different way. We offered 2 new locations in Zaatari. They are fully equipped. Now we have a new, bigger soccer field. We have 2 big gymnasium, one for male, one for female. We have a new space for sound and light to do films and photo shooting. It's open the door. And one of our plans is to have the funds to expand our existing in the Zaatari youth center to have in the new locations. But the difference, the leaders that we invest in, that they grew up through Quescope, they will lead the new centers. And they will design new activities for the young generation. because they have to take it to a different scale. Our role that we know what kind of managerial skills and trainings that we have to provide. And here we go, they will unleash their experience and start develop it with the new younger generation. And that's what makes it remarkable. The expansion is there. We have all the basics, all the roots to start. This is our values. The most important thing that we want to do while we are scaling, we will never change our values. Our values will still there. We will never lose our secret sauce. We will never lose what we have. If anything, we are growing more into the organization we are and want to be. So we are not changing these things. And we will always put people first. And we will listen deeply. And we will be sure what we are doing actually works. So this is the major thing that we will keep in Questscope. This is our driver. This will never change. Thank you. By doing the right thing in the right place with the right people, we were able to reach tens of thousands. Now we are looking to reach hundreds of thousands. And thank you. We really can't do this without you. We have such a unique family and friends and supporters. We so appreciate you being here and being with us for the last 30 years and the next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Methana. We've already received some questions, so I'm going to start this off with the questions that we received previously, but please, 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 if Methana's presentation has sparked any questions in you, please put them in the chat box, and they will be filtered to me by Carly. So one of the questions, actually, this one came in a couple of times. A couple of people asked us this, Methana. The question is, are you going to continue Questscope's work in Syria?
For sure, yes. This is the big answer. We have a great partner, which is our local partner in Syria, the Social Security for Social Syrian Society for Social Development. We all work together. It's going up and down. We know the uncertainty in Syria. It's always that makes some institutional donors challenge. It's not always, the interest and where the funds will going. And this is limited sometimes our work, but our cooperation together around primary health care and provide to expand primary care and for impact is going very well. We are in contact. Actually, we have fairly significant new grants to Questscope to anticipate. We anticipate in May that we submit. We're waiting to provide funding for expansion for primary care via HealthPoint and in the highly neglected areas in or near conflicts. And this is something that we will work. And also, when I was talking about the trauma recovery, we know that this is a big need inside Syria. And now we are working especially with our barefoot psychology that we are planning to do the training to develop the capacity within the SSSD team. And also we try to censor some more funds to expand it and send it to a higher level by the mid or late 2022.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Another question that came in a couple of times relates to Kurt, actually, well, Kurt and yourself. So can you tell us what is Kurt's new role and how will the two of you work together?
Actually, if you allow me, I will give the space to Kurt to answer this question.
Okay, fair enough. Kurt, over to you.
But then it would like me to hang myself first, right? I'm sure as you've gone through life and carried a lot of professional responsibilities, you run across a couple of DVDs that you'd like to watch because they are very interesting films, or a book or two or 100 that you'd like to pause and read and digest, or a professional paper or two that you want to dive into because you know there's stuff there that if you could think about it, it would change the way you think. You'd like to have longer conversations with friends and staff about deeper things than the next report. A CVO can do that. A Chief Vision Officer can do that because I am not responsible to run the machine. Muthanna has that blessing. So I can become a better human being with other human beings. The privilege of the CVO position is not unlike that of being a grandpa. So I sit there, I can sit beside people and say, did you think about this? Did you get a chance to see that? Could I play this out for us to see what it could mean if we did it? These are the things that this CVO is going to do, okay? And it all comes down again to the primary thing that Questscope is about, which is relationship. CVO is possible because of my relationship with Muthanna. We've been working like this already for at least a year, if not longer. This relationship as CVO is with the staff. I can talk with the staff and we can brainstorm together, and they may not always believe this, but I don't always have to be right, okay? And if you want to check on that, just ask my wife how many times I really am right, okay? I will continue my relationship with donors and supporters. I will continue the vision relationship with partners, organizations and people and entities who are part of the same struggle to make sure that the last can be first. There's a lot of free in the CVO job. There's a lot of what ifs, and there's a lot of fun. So that's the way I intend to carry it out, to be an asset to an organization that has been the biggest asset and joy to my life, so that I can do some payback. Back to you, Muthanna.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt. And actually, one of the most important things also for us, we want, while we are scaling, we want to keep our eyes on the innovation part of Questscope and to be sure that we are not losing, as I said, our values moving forward. So Kurt will be the guardian moving forward while we are scaling.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Another question that came in, and I'm actually going to combine this a little bit with the question that just came in from Dave. So the first question was, who are the people we are supporting moving forward? Are they different than before? And then Dave pointed out, asked, will you focus on refugees from war areas, or will you also focus on refugees in general? For example, climate change refugees.
Yes. So thank you for the question. What we want now is to duplicate our target groups that we are reaching. So it's the thing that what we are doing, we want to reach more people like the people we were serving. But that does not mean that we are limiting it to Jordan or limited it to refugees. That's where, to answer that question, yes, we are open. We are scaling up. We are scaling wide. We want to reach more areas, and we have the tools. And when we talk about online learning, when we talk about the barefoot psychology, music therapy, these things are ready to take us out and to take us to new set of targets. The great part of it, that when we are building our scale, this is the new fresh target for us, which is the youth and refugees that we invested in, that they will be the ones carrying our scaling forward, and we will rely on them, and we will develop more refugees, more youth to help us on that expansion. To get back to your question, Dave, yes, we are open to different targets. We are open to expand for new areas and new locations.
Thank you. Another question, it's kind of quite different to the ones we've had so far. What's been the impact on Questscope of COVID on the one hand and the invasion of Ukraine on the other hand? So two quite different events, world events.
Yeah, so we know COVID affected all of us, but it's not affecting Questscope as organization. The work has worked well. We know that we want to expand our funding and to do work harder. But if we look at Syria affected from the social economic situation in Lebanon more than the effect of COVID on it. And this is something that we are living in a region that it's the uncertainty and we have to think about. And this is something that we always have to take care and be ready to adjust ourselves and adjust our responses. Related to the invasion of Ukraine, yes, it's captured a lot of institutional donor. There is a massive shift towards Europe, towards Ukraine. But the good thing and the great thing that we have in Questscope, that we have a solid donor base, that they believe in our mission and they give their commitment to the marginalized people we are serving. But moving forward, we are not living in the golden place. We have to be sure that we develop our mechanism, expand our donor base, improve our profile, talk about ourselves big, because we know that we, at a certain point, we have to improve, and especially if we are talking about scaling also, we have to work on the fundraising, improve our donor base, add more to it. This is something very important. But this kind of crisis, we always met with a crisis that shifted some of the interest, but we have to be ready. It's not affecting us right now, but we have to be ready and we have to think about it seriously.
Great. Thank you. A much more personal question, this one. What has this journey meant for you? And the "for you" was underlined and bolded and in italics.
What an easy question.
Yeah, so very, very personally, for you personally, I think. And how have you changed over the past 5, 10, 20 years? I hesitate to say more.
I can't connect it with a certain time, because for me, my time at Questscope was a transformation journey. It was it shifts the way that I think. It shifts the person I am today. I remember when I joined Questscope at the beginning, I was this revenged youth that I think that all the marginalized youth are the cause of their problems. They are the problem, and we have nothing to do for them. Then when I joined Questscope and when I was the guardian of the impact on Questscope, and I have to meet these individuals and start talk with them and start collect the data around them, that's the transformation when it started. This is the formation happened to me. See that actually, no, they are not. Maybe I am the problem, not they. And that's where I start thinking that if any of these youth got the chances that I got in my life, they will become better than me. They will be a better person than who I am. And this is something that when I start thinking and start going through the journey of Questscope, that's when I start discovering that I have to contribute more. And even when the transitioning started 10 years ago and Kurt asked me that he wanted to give me a certain position, I said, Kurt, I can't do it until I understand the programs more. I don't want to mess up because I'm not the best. And even with my position right now, I am here just because I'm in a position, but all my team is better than me and they can do things that I couldn't do. Without them, I can't achieve what I can achieve. And being a leader for an NGO like Questscope, as I said before, if any of the kids or the youth that we are serving had the chances that I had, they will become a better leader of Questscope. And hopefully one day we can see them leading organizations like Questscope.
Yeah, hopefully that would be amazing. Please feel free to pop more questions into the chat box. So we have one about, I saw about a child sponsorship program. Is this something that we're considering?
So this is something that it's not part of what we are discussed within the pillars that we are moving forward, but this is something that we can think about if we can see the basis, because we know that there is a need, and especially when we talk about kids or marginalized youth, that they have a second chance and they went through and maybe they are looking for a higher education, but this is something that maybe will be one of the mechanisms that we can think about, part of the fundraising strategies. And this kind of question, as a developer, the development director, Joe, you can answer this question, because it's something that maybe we have to consider in our plans, because I believe going with Questcode 2.0, we have to do some change in our fundraising mechanisms, and we have to evolve in new things.
Yeah.
So Joe, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, no, I think it's something we haven't necessarily considered in the past, but I think we're very open to. So yes, why not? It's definitely a possibility. We have another question, which is again a bit of a general one. How can we, I think that means we, the audience, generally help in this Questcode 2.0 to get to Questcode 2.0? What can we do?
Yes, one of the major things, as we said, going to Questcode 2.0, we have to expand our profile. We have to talk about ourselves big. We have to expand our donor base and our network. One of the major things that the ODS can contribute to is helping us with our fundraisings, how we can engage more people to tell the story and help them to be engaged with us, or at least introduce them to us just to listen. And maybe they want to be part of this journey or not. But if you can help us expand the donor base that we have, this is something that we have to think seriously moving forward. To expand our scales, we have to expand our donor base. You all can be contributing to this. On the other hand, also your feedback, because you are in touch with us, and I'm always hearing from a lot of you. I just received an email from Bishara last week about things that he wants to introduce me to new ideas. These kind of things, it's helping us, because as we said, we listen and we believe that we all in the same place and we can work together. But fundraising and improving our donor base is something that we are looking forward for the next step of Questcode.
Okay, perfect. So James made a comment about, and I think it's in relation to the child sponsorship idea, is that maybe we wouldn't sponsor individuals, I guess that's individual children, but specific programs, or maybe an NFE class, or the photography programs. That's an interesting idea too.
Yeah, also if I can talk to James, we are working now in a new business model. We just put our new business model in place. Hopefully we will convert it to a business plan. And this will include this kind of thing, that we will have kind of initiatives or campaigns to support certain programs if you want to be part of it, or if you want to support the business plan as it is. So this is something that we are looking forward. We have multiple initiatives that we believe that maybe people can choose to be part of it. So for your answer, yes, this will be part of our new business model and business plan that we are implementing.
Okay, thank you for that. We have a question from Paul. Muthana, what did you learn during your Yale experience that you are bringing back to your leadership at Questcode?
One of the major things that I learned, that first we have to think about ourselves big. We have to be confident about what we did. One of the major things during the experience at Yale, that because I was presenting Questcode, not individual, not myself as Muthanna, this was a unique experience even for Yale. And the thing that I'm getting back from that, we have to focus on the we more than the I. And this is an initiative that even Yale asked me to expand it with other fellows. And this is something that I brought back to Questcode. The more focus on the we is the better successful we have. And we have some connection with Yale resources that they provide us, that it can be also a resource for our management. And we have access to their library, and they can help the staff to reach all of these.
Perfect. Thank you. Do we have any more questions? We've already been through quite a few. Please feel free to pop them in the chat box if you would like to ask them. No, I'm not seeing any questions come through on the chat box. Am I missing something? Juggling between the different screens? No, I think that's it. Okay. If there are no more questions, thank you so much. Methana, thank you so much for taking the time to present your vision for Questscope 2.0. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a real pleasure seeing some of you. We don't get to see enough of you. We don't get to see your faces enough. If any other questions come up, please feel free to email any one of us, and we'll be happy to get back to you over email. And yes, see you all again soon, hopefully, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for giving me the chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. See you.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Great to see you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Exciting stuff.
Thanks,
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.